Hi, and welcome to another version of Wisdom Wednesdays with Starr. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of bringing you my interview with the wonderful author and reset goddess, L.T. Dixon. She's a great girl, and we went deep. We took a deep dive talking about relationships and valuing ourselves and loving ourselves and hitting the damn reset button and resetting your life in order to create what you truly desire. So have a look, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, gang, we're just starting. I have to start now because otherwise we'll never start, because LT and I started giggling and it could be catching.
Which is like medicine. Oh my
Today,
God.
I am with the fabulous LT Dixon, who is a reset goddess and one of my dear, dear friends who, this is the part I have to share because it's so funny. I had an interview like a couple weeks ago with another girl who I like just randomly met on Facebook, and one day said, "You've got to do a reading. What are the guides saying for me?" And she totally did. She's like, "Okay." And you did the same thing. That's how we met. Was one day you were like, "Hey, I need your help." And boom, we were connected instantly. You remember that?
Yeah, well, I kind of remember it like this. You got to download. We connected somewhere on social media, but you got to download, and you inboxed me and told me what the download was.
Wow. And then it was late something. Yeah. Anyway, we connected. Our guides got us together.
Yeah, our guides got us together. Like we were a part of different groups together. And then you got to download, and you inboxed me and you told me, which my messages are still there, so I'll look back. But then I called you, and it triggered me even having the thing at Kia. Remember, I became the speaker the same day.
That's right.
So we just kind of connected. Everything aligned for us, which is great for even today. We're actually on 888, and I know you know this. This is the new beginning. This is the new beginning.
I know. And
so perfect timing. Oh my God.
That's a really good thing to talk about, because I looked it up today. I'm not like one of those, I know exactly what the planets are doing. Although people always are like, "Oh, I'm like a Sagittarius with Leo rising." And I'm like, I have no fucking idea what that means. I have no idea. But when I looked it up and you said a new beginning, and I was like, you know what? Every day is a new beginning. Every single day. Every day you get to, let's say it together, reset.
Hit the damn button.
Hit the damn button. Tell me that. Tell me about the reset, what the hit the damn button thing means.
Oh, so it's interesting. I believe it was about a year ago. I was having this discussion with someone. He made a post about reset and restoring and all this other stuff. And I was in this emotional turmoil kind of a thingy. And I got this download, was like, you get to reset. And I was looking like, huh? And then the slogan came, hit the damn button and make shit happen. No one has the power to really have you in this emotional, turmoil unless you give them permission. So are you going to reset, LT? And I was standing outside my job at the time, and I was like, I guess I'm resetting. And from that moment, I began to hit the damn button on my life. But it was very, very interesting how all of that aligned. I didn't have a word to express or to identify what I have done my entire life. I didn't have a word for it. So when that came to me, it opened up the heavens to pour out more downloads of how many times I reset my life. I reset my life from religion. I reset my life from abuse. I reset my life for work. I reset my life with my children. So it became a word that actually signified everything. So it was the second word that I've gotten since in these 9 years. The first one was B, and this one has been reset. So those are the two entities that I really talk about. Standing in your authentic power is what I call B. We all have B. We all have B. And then the process in which we restart is the reset. So that's it, Starr.
That's all cool. That's all wonderful. I love that. That's really cool. You know what I love that you've been doing lately? And I had this situation yesterday where it was so funny, where I was like going through this whole thing. Oh my God, I've got to be perfect. And I'm having a bad day, and people don't want to see me having a bad day. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, fuck it. Look, y'all, I'm having a bad day and I'm having a rough time. And so let's be honest with each other. And that's something you do. I've seen you do here lately, is you're like, I'm showing as I grow. I love that. Let's be authentic.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
we don't have good days. We have bad days. Whatever.
And here's the thing that I've learned over the years, because I've understood spiritual numbers. And so that 7 in my birthday really signifies perfection, spiritual perfection. Mm-hmm. So, but it also kind of goes with me wanting to have the perfection of everything else. Mm-hmm. So it's something that I practiced for a long time, to be perfect. And then I grew up with a dad who always told me that I was perfect. So here I am, my innate being is spiritually perfection. And then a dad who helps me to see my perfection and helps me to operate in perfection. And then I live that way. And you know what? And I realized that it became a gift and a curse at the same time, mm-hmm. because I would not show myself. I didn't know that there is perfection in your vulnerability.
Right.
And the more that I just say, you know what? Fuck it. This is my life, this is my life, and I'm going to show up, mm-hmm. just like this.
Yeah.
So it's just, we have to show as we grow. A lot of times I would not come on and I share my gift because I was afraid of being judged, yeah. for not knowing what I know. And the thing is that I do know what I know. And if I don't know what I know the one who knows everything that I don't know, and I just need to tap into it. Mm-hmm. And once I tap into the divine, I know it.
Exactly. And I think it speaks to really giving yourself permission to be human.
Yes.
And so much of what we share on Facebook is the highlight reel, oh my God, everything's going great. And what we really need to do is, like you say, show up. Just show up authentically as you are, as you're growing. These are the lessons I'm learning. This right. is what's going on for me.
I'm growing. Yeah, but here's another part to that, Starr, that I realized is that because I reset, and because I am a spiritual master resetologist, to be honest.
I love it.
I reset so much and I shift so much. And all that I'm saying is that I'm growing so much that I'm a constant grower of this life, right?
Right.
That the processes that I go through, if I don't show anyone beforehand, when I'm done with them, they're gone. And I'm like, oh, how did I do that? I don't think about it. I don't right. even, process them to the point that I'm thinking about it. Now, as I'm showing them, I'm capturing those moments and saying, hey, this is how you do step 1. Mm-hmm. This morning when I gave the, how I go live is really interesting too. I just get a download the first thing in the morning, maybe a word, just simply a word.
And you start talking.
And then, so the word this morning was recover. I'm like, recover?
Yeah.
Recover. But it actually gave some more clarity to what I do. So this morning when I was talking about, I got the download of how my dad recovered from a hip surgery, right? And the recovery part, you're in a room, you think about it, right? For those who have surgery, when they come out of surgery, with the doctors and those people that help them to get that part, they heal. There's a part of healing that needs to take place. So when I left from the bad marriage or the different marriage, and left from religion and people and family and the city, I went to North Carolina where I healed. I was in recovery. Mm-hmm. I was in recovery. But by the time I moved to California, there's rehabilitation that happens. So it was very interesting how that came out this morning. I was like, wow, some of you need rehabilitation from the recovery, but with the rehabilitation, there takes a specialist. So who are you connected with that specialize with what you do to help you in the rehabilitation of your life transformation? Ah, that's good. Oh, I felt that. Oh, that was so good.
I
Oh,
love your lives. I do. And I mean, I do the same thing. It's like, I'll start the camera and go, okay, I'm here to talk to you about something. And the stuff that comes out of my mouth, I'm just like, wow, that was good. And yours is the same way. You're so real. You're so authentic. And you just start talking and off it goes. And it's just such a download from spirit, download from the divine, and just amazing to
thank you.
watch.
It's
Amazing.
my sweet spot. Whenever I'm not in my sweet spot, you know, it doesn't really work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm learning to stay in my sweet spot because it's where all the juicy stuff comes from.
Yeah.
You know, juicy in that spot. So
Yeah.
try to stay there as often as I can.
Yeah.
And then I'm back into me.
In the zone. Doing the thing.
Yeah.
Doing the thing.
Yeah.
How do you honor yourself when you're not in your sweet spot?
How do I honor myself when I'm not in my sweet spot? My life has so many different layers to it and so many different components to it that during the sweet spot, I honor that and I give it that attention. And I'm learning every day that these other components, to give them my attention also.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've become more apt to being busy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So my life is very simple. It really is. The piece that you hear, like, I mean, it's 5, matter of fact, it's 7 children in this house because I have my niece and my nephew.
Mm-hmm.
It's very peaceful. You know, everybody is kind of in their zone, and I'm a student for life.
Mm-hmm.
So I sit and I kind of honor my space. I love my own company, which is really different because I wanted to welcome someone in my space, and that has been very different. So I'm actually in the rehabilitation of what relationship look like from a different standpoint. And so, but I'm really just relaxed. I don't really do too much of anything. And it's probably is affecting my online consistency. Because if I don't feel it, really, if I don't feel it, I'm not driven by this whole competition thing or whatever. I'm really drawn to what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing a lot of moving like other people move, and it's been burning me out.
Right.
And so last night I actually took some time to kind of do some studies on some things and to find out what was going on with my dopamine and my serotonin and that stuff, because it's affecting the way that I operate. You know, it is affecting the way that I operate, and I've just slowed down. So I honor me. If it means that I do nothing,
yeah,
I just do nothing.
You don't do nothing. Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's part of it's the law of action. It's, yes, take action, but make sure it's inspired action. It's action that comes from your heart, that tells you, I'm getting the chills right now, I don't know why, but that comes from your heart and just says, yes, go do this. So like the drudgery crap, if you're inspired, it's fun, it's easy, you can do it, you can get it done, you're fine. But if you're not, if you're taking forced action and acting out of fear, or everybody else does this, so I should do it, it doesn't work. And it produces really iffy results. So you're right on track there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, the more that I'm committed,
do you.
Absolutely, just do you. Actually, that was the theme song when I was doing radio some years ago. That was my intro. It's a song by NDRE that says "Just Do You." Mm-hmm. So thank you for that confirmation.
Yay! That must be why I got the chills.
That's why you got the chills, because that was actually my theme song. She says, when you create the game, then you create the rules. But if you just do you, there's no way you can lose. Nice. So that was my go listen to it, Starr. You're gonna get amazed by that. It's NDRE. I'll make sure I send you the plug to that. But that's how the intro of my radio show the experience used to be. And now I have the reset experience, which is absolutely amazing to be able to evolve into the ultimate transformation of life and relationship. Mm-hmm. What I do now. The ultimate transformation of relationship and life and relationship. Everything is relatable. It's connected to something.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's really funny. It's like before when you said this, my guides are like keep bugging me to say this. It's like, the part where you say you're really comfortable with yourself. That's great. That's beautiful. I remember one of my goals in a relationship was that I would be just as comfortable with that person in the room as I was with myself.
Wow.
I would feel that same level of comfort, and just we can have moments of silence and not say anything to each other and still be in the same room together and be okay. And that was huge for me. And so, that ended up being what I attracted into my life. But it was like that whole piece about learning to be with yourself and be comfortable and feel good and be okay.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I was probably between divorce or marriages 1 and 2, I think I had a thought where it was like, I can be with myself and still be okay. And I was like, what? No, really? Because I was a serial monogamist. I was like, I had to be in a relationship.
Really?
And oh yeah. I was, the stories, they would curl your hair. They were terrible. It was like, I was so giving myself and laying my heart out on the
Serial
floor.
monogamous. Wow.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. You want to be in a relationship. You have to be in a relationship. You're not worthy of anything.
Can I take that one from you, Starr? Can I just grab that one right out of there?
Serial
Put
monogamous.
it right here in my pocket and do something with it.
Do a lot with it. Yeah.
Never heard of that term before.
It very much was. I was very much in this space of, unless I was in a relationship, I did not feel right. I was not okay.
Oh.
And then when I got in a relationship, I actually ended up in my second marriage because I was so busy pretending to be who he wanted me to be that I never even realized that I didn't like him.
Yeah.
And that we had nothing in common, and bless his heart. I mean, we stayed married for 5 years, but we never should have been married in the first place. But wow. I got caught in my own trap because I was so busy being on and being who he wanted me to be.
Wow.
That I tell this story that on our wedding night, I went to bed by myself. I left him talking to the family and just snuck off to bed. I mean, if that's not a clue that was a problem.
But so let me ask you, how did it grow you though? Because from that, you had to have grown
absolutely
in that process. So it was all for it satisfied whatever you were actually after at the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like everything. Were it not for that, I wouldn't be here today. Yeah. Were it not for that experience. And we were married for 5 years. We tried. Yeah. He, bless his heart, paid off my bills, rescued the family, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of it, I remember this distinctly, driving home one day and just going, where's my voice? What happened to me? Where did I go? Because I was this really strong person in between marriages, and then lost all of it being in a relationship and completely lost myself. And we went into therapy. We started doing therapy. I remember sitting on the therapist couch. My son was graduating from high school, and I was like, if I'm not Jake's mom, who am I? Mm. And so there was so much of myself that I lost. And so, yes, absolutely. That marriage was a catalyst for me finding myself again and healing a bunch of shit that just needed to be healed.
Yeah. I actually, I had taken some time I told you, this must be the season where I am just giving focus to one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. And relationship called itself and into my space about 2 months ago. And the first 30 days of it was full of resistance. Very full of resistance. Just back and forth. And we don't have a lot of things in common. Like, we do two different things. Like, he's into his trucking world. I'm into my world. And I said to him not too long ago, let's just be friends, really cool. I'm a great friend, right? But what some of the things that the Spirit was showing me was that we give up on people too fast, right? Because we come into a situation, whether it's work, whether it's money, whatever it is, and we have an idea, but the idea is not the actual individual.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
So the idea is, and I had this idea on from this fantasy, it's going to be this, and
yeah.
And then when it showed up, it was like,
no
songs are playing. Yeah. And so right before I actually got online with you, I'm in recovery from those 30 days of just the resistance on both ends. I'm in recovery because what it did was, although I prepared for the relationship, I had no practice. So it gave me practice to be able to come back in and see if those things that I've been preparing for actually work. And I don't really absolutely know what Spirit is doing with it, but I know that it will serve its purpose, whatever it is, whether it's to stay together as a relationship. I'm not even interested in that outcome, or stay together as friendship. I'm not interested in any outcome. I understand my purpose, and what I show up as. Mm-hmm. And sometimes because of our own satisfaction, we get involved in things, or we get involved in or we welcome things in to satisfy us. So it was a satisfaction that I was calling for. I wanted companionship. Mm-hmm. And the first day that we spent together, Spirit asked me, what will it cost you? And I didn't give a lot of, conversation to it. I was just like, I don't know. But it helped me to not discard people and to see people in the light of God, regardless of whether it's what I desire. And that I've done enough spiritual work that I'm okay with even being by myself, but I'm not shaming or blaming myself. Like when things didn't go the way that I would want them to go in a relationship or a job, I would actually just be, oh my God, you made this mistake and you did this. And I didn't do that with this one. Right. I just kind of just let it take its course. And he's saying to me now was like, I really didn't understand before what you were trying to say. Like literally when you came on, he was saying that, like, I didn't understand what you was trying to say. He said, but I'm starting to get it. So maybe that 30 days or so was for him to see something that he's never seen before.
Right.
I understand my purpose. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I will have the kind of companionship, but what it did for me, it actually connected me back to source. Mm-hmm. And it also gave me a different level of commitment to my own spiritual journey and the relationships that I'm cultivating. And the next thing that God said to me, after he said, what would it cost you? The next thing was, what was it? It just left me, but it will come back. It was very interesting because I was like for real, it's going to cost me. Everything has a level of cost to it. It has a level of cost, and not all the time we count the cost for this journey that we're on. It helped with my level of commitment to me. I didn't have to manipulate it and play it to be something else. I just kind of stayed with it and watch it evolve. Mm-hmm. Without discarding people early, because it's not. We have a lot of that going on right now. Right. People are disconnected. They don't want to see the growth of someone else. Mm-hmm. And I'm a lover of life. I'm a lover of life, and I'm a lover of people. Mm-hmm. And I had to realize that I'm never alone, because that was the part that I was like, I want companionship. And Spirit was like, I'm always with you. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And that's, it strikes me as, I know you're a lover of Iyanla Vanzant, as I am, who she always said, people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so who knows whether he's season, reason, definitely a reason. He came in for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Lifetime, maybe, maybe not. But I love that you just detached from the outcome. Just like, I'm right here now. I'm seeing what's here. And I'm going to observe that and go with what I feel.
I had to release the control too.
Exactly.
Because I wanted to control it. And that was our biggest resistance for each other, was that we were trying to control. And I erased the ideas that was superficial of what people were showing me what relationships are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I kind of erased that and was just like, that's not it. How are you relating? You know, how are you connecting? How important is this? And is it serving a purpose? Because I literally was hard on myself. And I didn't want to talk about relationships because I was like, I didn't manifest. And I've always manifested relationships, but you're not in control of them. Mm-hmm. And I have a purpose, you know, for what I do and how I do it and what I'm called to do. I have to stay true to the commitment. And it made me reevaluate the commitment that I've made on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I love that that whole part about, because I mean, you know, part of the mistake we make is falling in love with the image that we have of the person rather than seeing what's really there.
Right.
And so, I mean, you know, two of the most devastating relationships were, I mean, I literally had a guy that I was with for a year who told me at the beginning he was not boyfriend material. He said those words out loud to me. Oh. And I did not. I was going to rescue him. I was going to save him. He was going to be so grateful for me. And I got my heart broken. And I was the one that broke my heart. I had this whole image of this person who did not exist. Did not exist at all. And yet I managed to keep that vision for a year. And then he was a bad boy. And then the next guy I dated was a really good guy. And that was the one I married. And I shouldn't have. So
because you know what I'm learning too, Starr, about that?
What?
Is that I said, you know what I'm learning about?
Yeah.
That is, and I kind of shared it. I did a live coaching session with someone yesterday. And she was like, you got to go live, Because we were just having a conversation. She's like, you got to go live, you got to share this. And I'm like, all right, thank you, Spirit, because I've been wanting to do a live coaching session with someone. Yeah. I just never did. And I didn't know who to pick. So she actually chose it. So I thought, cool. And what I was sharing with her, the download and how Spirit gave it to me, and I know this will resonate with you in such a way, that the law of attraction says that, you know, and I know you know this too, that we attract, you know, people. You hear people say you attract who you are, right?
Right.
And the way Spirit gave it to me was like, sort of, kind of, because everything is energy, but you really attract the frequency of who you are.
You cannot draw to yourself more than you think you're worth.
Right.
You cannot.
And so for these things these past relationships, whether it's the relationship with money, the relationship with health, the relationship with family, the relationship with food and the intimate relationship, if your frequency around those areas have a low vibe, you're going to continue to attract everything that's on that level of frequency.
Right.
You're going to have to do the recovery work, you know, to heal, because recovery is all about your healing process, to move that frequency to the level of which you're vibing. So even when I attract this guy into my life, what energy? But then I did not recover. I didn't totally close, because the recovery is the wound is closed and it is healed. Did I leave some of the wounds still open? Is the stitches still there, still, you know, operating? You've healed, but you ever had a sore that underneath has not healed all the way? The top of it has had its skin on it. And if it's hit, it will reopen. It's the recovery work to be able to close that off and then write a new commitment for where you are and where you're committed to going. You know, that brings the level of vibration up. Same way when we're in the car with our stereo. If you don't like what's on 92 and you want to hear what's on 97, you can't expect to hear what's on 97 or 92 because they don't play the same music. You got to change it. So, and it takes a moving of the dial to move you to 97 if you're at 92.
So you got to shift.
You got to shift. That's the shift.
Yeah.
Yes.
I could just sit here and listen to you all day. I'm like, oh, I agree with this girl. She's just so wise because she says everything I think. We totally agree, so we're totally good.
Yes.
If you're like most coach type people, helpful type people, I would imagine you've done this all your life. You've helped people, and from an early age knew.
Since around 8.
Yeah.
Around 8 that I can remember. I don't know if anything was happening before that, but I can remember being around 8 years old and people coming to tell me things that they didn't tell other people.
Right.
And I remember around that time, actually was to be honest, now that I think about it, it was the first time that I had the first encounter with what we call the universe God. My first encounter, and I'll give you a brief story on that. My mother had just left from spending her time in New York, shooting up heroin, and she came home and she said, I don't want to do heroin anymore. I'm going to lay on this couch and I'm going to kick it cold turkey. At the time, it was 5 of us, and she laid there. We watched her go through the shakes and the vomiting and all that other stuff. She did it right in front of us. So there was a story. There was a movie that came on. I remember sitting at this TV. Oh my God, it's so vivid. The 5 of us were sitting, we were watching a show called A Long Way Home. And there were three children who their parents had passed away. The oldest brother was taking care of them, but he had no money. And so he was stealing from the store. So the cops followed him and followed him to a home where there was 2 other young children there. And they took all 3 of them out of the home and they separated them into foster care. Such an amazing movie. And I can remember my siblings and I, we all were crying because the ending of the movie was that they actually, when they became adults, they found each other. They found a way to find each other, and they meet up at a train station or something like that. And so if you can imagine, we're all emotionally attached to this movie. The first time that we was ever introduced to what foster care looks like, my mom is in recovery and she's healing. And so we're all crying, high emotions about this. And my mom says to us, I will never let that happen to y'all. With less than 6 months, we were all taken from my mom and went into foster care.
Wow.
She lost all 5 of us. Very, very interesting. When Spirit gave me the download of The Long Way Home, it showed me how energy works. That whenever you put energy to something, especially that much energy, the universe is always saying yes to us. It's going to attach itself to that energy and it's going to give you exactly what that energy represents. So the energy was high and, but then my mom's words were, I will never allow that to happen. The universe doesn't hear in that tone. It hears in the affirmative. Right. So when you say don't, know, won't, that stuff is not going to answer that. It's going to say, I will allow that to happen to y'all.
Yeah.
So the universe was,
Yeah.
God was saying, oh, that's what they want. Yes, I'm going to get that. Look, everybody's in cohesive, like we're all in this together. And honored that request because we didn't know. We didn't know. We didn't know how the universe God works. We didn't know how it works. And it took 8 years for us to come back home to my mom.
Yeah.
It took 8 years for her to recover us back. I left at 8.
Yeah.
And I didn't come back home until I was 16.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a long time to be away from your siblings. And my sisters and brothers, they all were separated. We were not together. I was the only one that was with family. But it just makes me think of, I didn't know that's how the universe works. And so when I try to show other people, like, you have to be mindful of how you speak and the energy that you're using and the frequency and all that other stuff, it's answering you yes. There's no I don't, raised into church, they taught me all these things that weren't, they wasn't as accurate as they could have been.
Yeah.
Because people had their own spin on what the divine says.
Right.
But clearly, the word says the answers are yea and amen. Mm-hmm. Yes, and so it is. So if those are the two answers, why are you telling me that God says wait? Why are you telling me that God says no? That's not it. God is saying, if I'm answering you yes, but where you are is not exactly where what you desire is. Now I have to grow you into it so that you can get your yes. That's why I came up with the book called Prepared for the Yes, because it's a growing into the Prepared for the Yes.
Right. Oh my gosh. And that reminds me of why part of the reason that we have vibed so much is that I was on the other side of that. I was the only natural child in a family full of foster children.
Oh, wow.
I can't believe I never told you that, but yeah,
you told me that there was foster, but you didn't share the story. Like you never told me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, it was like my mom was a foster kid. And so of course, when she grew up, she wanted to take in foster kids, and my mom never does anything halfway. So over the years we had usually there would be 6 to 12 kids living in the home. And then over the years, there were like 30 different kids who came through our house. Plus you had the crazy relatives and the little old lady. I don't know why mom always had a little old lady, but we always had a little old lady around too. And so I got to see that and got to watch my mom. I think the most profound lesson I ever learned from her was just watching her saying, it doesn't matter where you've come from. Doesn't matter. It matters what you do with it now. But where you came from doesn't matter. I'm going to love you the same. And so that acceptance of people just where they're at just comes in.
Yeah.
And I know, I think we both know that the foster system is not the greatest. We could say that the foster care system doesn't serve children as well as it could. I think is about the nicest way I could say it. And yet, you've worked in the foster care system, right? Yeah. You've done that.
It's been a year since I actually took leave. It was August. It was actually July 26th. I went on vacation, and then August 1st, my doctor put me out, which was interesting because the energy resurfaced for the emotional state that I was in, and I didn't realize it till yesterday because I had some emotional stuff going on, and I had to look at my reset wheel and say, where were you this time last year?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, you were depressed. You were recovering from the stress and the burnout that you were going through working for the system. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so I just took my days to kind of relax and to restore, and restart from where I am. Yeah. And that's what happens in most resets. I was able, it's interesting because most of the time when I talk to people about coaching, they ask me, well, where did you get some of the stuff from?
It's a download.
It's download. And I oftentimes hear people say, there are a lot of people who are using patterns, but not many people use what you use. And I say, because nobody gave it to me. No one taught me how to coach. I've been coaching since I was 8. Right. My life path has been in social service. So I've used and I've learned the tools and techniques from going through and also being a part of different systems that actually allow to cultivate the gift and to be intuitive enough to create from an intuitive space. So when I get the download that this should go here, bam. And I was telling Mr. Scott, when we were working on our strategy, was that when I think about it, I really can teach people how to be an intuitive coach. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because I'm so used to being the one that's doing it. But my love has always been teaching.
Right.
I've never really stepped fully into it at this capacity.
Right.
Oh, well, the way that the imagery of it, from what my mind was like, oh, you have to do this as a teacher. But no, I teach all the time. My classroom is just bigger.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's really funny that we've both come from very structured systems. I was in education. I worked as a registrar for junior high and high school for 7 years, and so there was always this structure. And yet from that, we grow and we go, okay, I see how I get it. There were lessons that we needed to learn within that system so that we can go out and just be unconventional as hell and just say it the way it is and call it what it is.
Yes.
And see things for the truth of what they are.
Yes.
And yet I would also imagine, because I feel like even though I didn't know it at the time, I'm working in the educational system, I'm still being an intuitive. I'm still being a teacher. I'm still coaching people and helping people.
Yeah.
And because it's always there. It just never goes away.
It never goes away. It never goes away. And I've grown a lot, you know, when I think about the progress and the growth, to be able to trust my intuition to leave everything is what I call my B power. My B power is actually my innate being. She knew, you know, right. And it's interesting because I just had an 8-week coaching session with a coach, and she was just like, I'm like, wow, did I pay all this money just for you to tell me to trust me?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
For someone to tell me to trust me.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to trust a little more. Yeah. I'm knowing that this season where I am of moving like the turtle, you know, the turtle as opposed to the hare is creating the foundation for what is to come, you know, as opposed to running fast and burning myself out. How can you do it at a level where you're building the foundation that's going to be from generation to generation? You know, home is first. You know, I take care of my children. And that's a lot within itself because I'm committed to the 5 of them and they're growing up very fast. In 6 years, my baby will be 18. So I have these 6 years to cultivate the gift that's in them. And when I walked away from the job last year, it was because of health. Yeah. That internally, my health was, they wanted to put me on medicine for hypertension. And I said, that's not something I'm subscribing to. Nope, I don't want to medicate myself to work. And so I had to take time to recover. And then now I'm back, you know, doing it bit by bit. And it's going to come together, make my commitments, put my intentions where the commitments are, and give it my attention and follow through to get, you know, an action to actually do what it takes to get it up and running. You know, it's kind of hard when you're gifted, when you have these gifts in other areas, like gift of speaking and gift of coaching and gift of teaching. All of them are pulling at you, you know, in ways. And so you have to stop and do, either put them together in a way that it works, or you have to stop and give one your attention, because they all want to continue to call you.
Right. It is. It's funny. I mean, because it's like I keep thinking, well, am I teaching universal law, or I'm teaching to be an intuitive? And I'm like, no, I'm pretty much teaching all of it. It's like, because you have to be an intuitive in order to apply universal law. You know, and so it's kind of this step-by-step progression. And you're right, there's so much swirling around and so much that you want to do, and you getting that focus and just, okay, here's where I'm going. And I don't know that, I was going to say, I don't know necessarily that I have it, but I think I don't know necessarily that I need it. I follow the breadcrumbs. I will, what's next, Spirit? Tell me what you want me to do. This morning I had an inkling. I'm like, well, maybe I should try this. So I put it out there. And the good part was I went, okay, if this is what I'm supposed to do, then people will respond to it. If it's not what I'm supposed to do, people won't respond. So that's easy. Okay, I can move on. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest things that I teach people is life is an experiment. You follow your yeses until you get to a no. When you get to a no, you reroute.
Oh, I love that, Starr.
Yeah.
Oh my
Thank
God.
You.
I love that. Follow the yeses. So I'm gonna have to put your name next to that one.
I'm getting all kinds of quotes here.
Yes.
But it really is true. And I would think that was one of my, as I became this recovered from being the serial monogamist, one of the things that I had to really make peace with was, because you always have this, oh, why did I lie to myself? Why did I take myself down this? And I finally decided, okay, look, I didn't lie to myself. At the time, I believed what I was saying. So basically, I had a hypothesis. I had a theory.
Right.
And I followed the theory. And when the theory proved to be wrong, I stopped.
Right.
Because we spend too much time beating ourselves up.
Mm-hmm.
We spend way too much time beating ourselves up, and it's not necessary. Because I think one of the greatest things I ever learned was, because I was Miss Serial Monogamist here, let me give you my heart on a platter so you can stomp on it. And I realized until I loved myself the way I wanted to be loved, nothing was going to happen.
Absolutely.
And it's that frequency thing. It's that recognizing that I'm worthy of that love. And so if I'm worthy of that love, wouldn't I therefore then believe that of myself and treat myself that way?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It goes with saying that I say, never allow someone to treat you the way that you don't treat yourself. And that was one of the struggles, the challenges that we were having in the relationship with my guy friend, was that his representation of love was showing up differently than what I treat myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, why are you allowing that?"
Mm-hmm.
And but it had nothing to do with him; it had everything to do with me.
Right.
And so I had to look, and I said, "You've allowed it, but this was to reroute you, to reset you, so that the purpose could come out." So I had to remove certain things, imageries that I had surrounding what it was going to look like.
Right.
And it's something that in the process that I call the reset, we make adjustments, not alterations. You make the adjustment, not the alteration. You're not cutting out anything. So I didn't allow it to cut out anything, but I did make some adjustments. And when I shifted the adjustment, when I, switched my dial, have a great day, son. Blessings. Bless you.
Thank you.
When I did when I did the adjustment and not the alterations, I can see the change.
Yeah.
And it was all coming back to me. Okay. This is what is showing up. So how are you going to react or respond to it? Mm-hmm. Are you going to continue to, and I, lots of conversations. There were so many times I just kind of disregarded people as a whole. And I am of the knowing that because it comes to serve me, no matter what it is, I have to allow it to serve the purpose.
Oh,
I have to allow it to serve the purpose.
Yeah.
Not cut it off too fast. Right. Not guard it too fast. Were there things in there that I totally didn't approve of? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Totally things that did not resonate with me? Absolutely. But I was already asked what was it going to cost me.
Yeah.
You know? And I was aware that it had a cost attached to it.
Yeah.
So, but it's good. I'm at peace with me and the experience. And the thing is that I would not have known of the experience on any level when I was just using, I want to date, this, that, and the other. No, I want a companionship. Mm-hmm. Now I have to describe what that now needs to look like.
Right.
And yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you something. Bam!
Yes.
I have a couple of yeses around the house.
Those are good. Good reminders. I like that. But yeah, it's really, it's the whole thing. It's like the universe is going to whisper in your ear. It's going to tell you what you need to know. And if you don't pay attention, it's going to slap you upside the head.
Yeah. Don't be asleep.
Oh Lord, did I got slapped upside the head so many times before I finally got it. And it was so funny because it was all this, oh, what's wrong with me? And it's like, well, the part where you don't value yourself is what's wrong with you.
Well, who taught us that,
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny too, because it just came to mind because, my mom's 92.
Bless her.
Yeah. Yeah. She's 92. And I've worked with her without being really in her face about it, because I'll do something and she'll be like, well, dummy. And I'm like, Mom, don't call me dummy. Just don't. But then she'll say something about something she did, and she's like, God, I was just so stupid. And she calls herself stupid, and I'll have to say to her, Mom, don't talk about my mother like that.
That's beautiful.
And she'll be like, well, it was stupid, you know. And so I get it. It was that generation where it was really okay to do that, and trying to re-educate her to those words are not okay to use against yourself, and definitely not okay to use against me. I mean, and I'm not. I mean, she's 92. I'm not going to be like, damn it, you stop calling me dummy. You know, it's just not the way I am. But when she does it, I make note of it and say, hey, don't call me dummy, because I'm not.
I'm not.
Yeah.
The decision that I made may have not been the wisest.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm dumb. It just means that I'm still learning. And that was the key with this, was that I'm still learning.
Yes. Yes.
I'm still learning, and I don't have to be perfect, and I can still grow through this. But I mean, it was so many ahas, awakenings, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay. You said you wanted this. Okay.
All right.
Oh, the other part was that God said to me, if I gave you it all at once the way that you wanted it, it would be nothing for me to work with. So I knew to a degree that this was God's work.
Yeah.
And normally I would say, for me or for you, is what I ask God when I meet someone that I'm interested in. I go, for me or for you. And then I wait 3 days for the answer. I didn't do it this time. And normally when I don't do it, I actually get the experience of it. And I'm like, you know the code, like, you know what you're supposed to do. And the first clue was, what would it cost you? The other one was, if I gave it to you exactly the way that you wanted it, there'd be nothing for me to work with. And I can see the transformational work that God is doing in him to help him to become the best father that he can be, or the better man that he needs to be. He has his own healing to do. And that's not the component. I'm not attached to an outcome.
Right.
I'm not, I'm more attached to the growing, the process of growth.
Nice.
The progression of it.
Yeah.
But not the outcome that it's the destination. It's not a destination.
No.
It's a journey.
No.
And
we get, so I do the same thing. I get caught up in being perfect at something, and then I go, wait, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be. And there's layers and layers and layers of things that I have to release and transcend and move through. And it's just the experience of being human.
Yes.
And yeah, it's just the way it is. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so that's the way it goes. And the really funny part is it's like, as you were talking about this, I'm like thinking about when Scott and I started dating, we did not show up as the healed, all-knowing, all-peaceful, wonderful people that we are today. We were broken, and we were broken together. And the difference was, I think that we just knew early on that there was something there. But I this is a story I've told on my website too, is that I had serious separation issues, and I was really, really afraid of falling for this guy. And it happened like every single Sunday. He would come over, I'd go to his place, he'd come over to my house. Every single Sunday when he would start to leave, I'd start to cry. And not just little tiny tears. I would bawl. And so he tells me this now. He'd start telling me like a few hours before he was ready to leave that he had to leave, because he knew I was going to just freak out.
Yeah.
And
triggers.
And it was, so we healed together. He had his issues, I had mine, and we healed together. And now, this is not by any stretch of the imagination the kind of relationship I ever thought I would have, or even pictured.
Wow.
And yet it works, but it's our own definition of a relationship. It's the way we want it to look. And that's something we've built together.
That's awesome.
I think part of it is you have to let go of your idea of what a relationship should look like, and let it be what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And knowing what part works. It's interesting that you talked about tears, because yesterday I was going to post and I didn't. I started the whole thing and I didn't do it. And there's a picture of me crying as a baby. And the post was going to be somewhat similar to your tears were your first language. Never forget you had these before your words. And how we don't cry.
Yeah.
We don't cry enough. We only cry when there's pain. What about crying because you just need to cleanse from the things that you thought? What about crying because you just need to release whatever it is in your mind?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with, people see tears as weakness when it actually was your first language. Have you forgotten what you
love that?
Yeah. Have you forgotten what your first language was?
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing you were doing was reconnecting. Every time he got ready, it was healing the parts of you thinking that you needed a physical person. So you were washing away those internal things that you had that was attached to other people, thinking that they needed to be there. And so your soul was just clearing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Clear so it can welcome him in fully when it was clear.
Yeah. And since then I've learned that one of my big things was, yes, we had the big family with all the people and everything, but it was a revolving door and people came and went all the time and people would just disappear. And so that was part of that healing that was occurring. So yeah, beautiful insight. I love that you said that. And it was so funny too, because I was weepy yesterday too. Yesterday was a funky day energetically, and I finally just realized, okay, it's just clearing, it's fine. And sometimes I have this part of my brain that goes into panic mode. Oh my God, we're freaking out now. We're having a bad thought, let's freak out.
Yeah.
So I finally I put on music and I was just playing songs, and the song Seasons of Love from Rent came on. And damn it if that song just doesn't make me cry every time it comes on. And I don't know why, but I was like, I'm going to go ahead and let the tears happen because clearly I need to cry. Matter of fact, I think I might have to go put it on again and cry some more, but just to get
what? It's your connection to your alignment. We take care of people all the time.
Yeah.
We're always allowing the universe, God, to download and pour all this stuff into us so that we can be the vessel, the conduit, the channel that will be bold enough to stand and say, this is what I came to this world to serve. And then, but who's pouring into you? Because that was my part yesterday, was like, I'm always giving, I don't think that I did the serial monogamous thing, but there's a part of me that thought that was the way that it was supposed to be. I'm born into Christianity. And so I've been trained to take care of people.
Yeah.
I've been trained.
Oh yeah.
I've been taught this is, you have your family tell you, hey, take care of your little sister. They impose that. Hey, take care of this. Hey, do this, that, and the other. And the 9 years ago when I did the ultimate reset, the first thing that was dropped on me was to take care of me.
Yeah.
And it looked selfish, I'm pretty sure, to other people. And guess what? In a relationship, it still looks selfish to other people.
Yeah.
Because I tell them that I'm my number one, you're not. My children are not my number one, I am my number one.
Yes.
And they're like, what? You're in a relationship. You can't be your number. Yeah, I am. Get over it.
Yeah.
And I will help you become your number one. Because unless I'm good to me, I can be no good to you.
Right.
I have to learn to be good to me. Because I've been taught and trained to be good to everyone else besides me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's one of my basic tenets. There's the law of compensation. Yeah. The law of compensation, which is, give, and what you give will come back to you. Well, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Except if you're a giver and all you ever do is give, what you need to learn how to do is receive.
Yes. Because you're violating the law when you don't.
Exactly.
And the law needs to be honored.
Right.
So how
there
do you
has to
honor
be
the
balance.
law? It has to be in constant harmony with it, With
Exactly.
all you're doing, and you're telling God that no, I don't need you. What? When you say no, don't give to me, no, I'm not going to receive, and I'm just going to take care of everybody else. What are you telling God?
Yeah.
What are you telling him?
It reminds me of a joke. You've probably heard this in church. I know I did, but maybe not. But there was the old joke where, the lady was in a flood and she was up on the roof of her house and she's like, God, save me. And have you heard this one? And so somebody comes by in a rowboat and they're like, get in the boat. And she's like, nope, God's going to save me. And so sure enough, somebody else comes by in a boat and they're like, get in the boat. She's like, no, God's going to save me. She gets up to the pearly gates and she's like, why didn't you save me? And he's like, I sent you 2 boats.
And a helicopter.
Yes.
Tell him, no, I was coming.
How much saving do you want? It doesn't show up the way you expected. It shows up as help.
Right. But the thing is that when we don't recognize that everyone is God expressed in this earth, we won't see the help.
Yes.
Because we have this imagery of who God is.
Yeah.
And God is right here.
Yeah. Inside of everyone. Yeah.
Right, and that's, when I think about what I've learned in church, I'm like, God, you're omnipresent. So why do they keep telling me to look somewhere else and go do something else? Don't you know that God is with you when you're with someone else? Don't you know that God is with you when you're traveling?
Yeah.
Do you not acknowledge that God is there?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was really funny. It reminds me of a client asked me last week. She's like, I've got this person in my life who's just come back into my life after being in prison, and I don't know if I should forgive her or let her around my child or da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, I don't know if I should trust her. And I said, here's the deal. You can trust that God is within this person. Absolutely trust that that's there. But you also have to trust your instinct that tells you not to let her in your life again. Because that's the communication. Yes, she has God within her and she is worthy, absolutely. Does she see it? Does she know it? Does she act from that place? That's the part you have to pay attention to. And so, yes, we trust that there's the divine in everyone and everything and everywhere. And still we lock our car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do we really trust? That's a good one, Starr.
Yeah.
No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't, we don't just leave it and say, all right, God, because we're taught that that's not using wisdom.
Right. You're also gifted with wisdom and intuition. And if your intuition says walk away, you walk away.
Right. Right. So
I mean, in your sense to give people a chance, absolutely. But at some point, you'll get to a point where you'll know yes or no. You just keep following those yeses.
Yes, I love that. You got to have the map of yes.
I love that. That's the really map cool.
Of yes.
It's like a flow chart.
Yeah, huh?
It's like a flow chart.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
It's awesome.
Flow chart. Yeah. Oh, Starr, we have so much connection that comes through us when we connect on any level, whether it's on social media or whatever. And I'm telling you, it has been such a blessing and an honor to have you a part of this journey with me. You are one of the greatest expressions of love in this earth,
Oh.
And you have such a gift to share. And so even if one person gets it,
that's one person.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Thank you. I received that. Gives me the chills to receive it, but I received that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for all that you do. Sometimes we don't share that with people who actually are serving. And so this is just God saying to you, thank you for all that you do. All the time that you show up, for every time that you trust your intuition to open you up and be a portal and a channel for those who are still looking for the way. They're looking for the yes, right?
Yeah.
It's just interesting. And I guess that's why we're here, because we're part of their yes. We're part of the yes for people. And we just have to continue to turn our light on. You
Heck
know,
yeah.
have you turned your light on today? You know, is it on?
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, that's the thing that I always tell people is like, there are so many of us out there who are basically giving you the same message, but it's because of the frequency and the voice that the people we need to reach will hear us. And so there's so many of us out there who are spreading that word, and that
so many people want to do that's into the woo-woo.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm just like, the woo-woo has already been with you. Who told you, the woo-woo wasn't there?
I'm starting to say it's not the woo-woo, it's the law. Because it really is. It's just the law. It's just the way things work.
I mean, the spiritual law is real.
Yeah.
And when you don't know it, you're not exempt.
Yeah.
Because you don't know it.
Because you don't know it doesn't mean it doesn't work.
Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. So I am very thankful for how you've shown up. Like, I've watched the ultimate transformation. I've watched you hit the reset button. And,
more times than I can think. Yeah.
But guess what? That's why you have it. Because you can hit it 99 times. And
more and
more. Lisa Nichols says, I just keep hitting the reset button until I can't hit it no more.
There you go.
That's what you do.
There you go.
You keep hitting the reset button so that our light continues to shine. And we need it. We have to take care of ourselves because we are important. We are our number one.
Mm-hmm.
And we need, we have to do it. It is important. It's essential.
Yeah. It's got to be done. Absolutely.
It has to be done. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I told you at the beginning, we'd get to the end of the hour, go, oh, hey, it's only been an hour. And here we are. Yeah. So thank you so much for being my guest on Weekly Wisdom.
Awesome. And this will be aired soon?
It will, let me think, 1, 2, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm glad that you opened up the door for the opportunity for me to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I pray that those who listen to it will have some transformation.
Absolutely.
In their thoughts and in their beings from something that we shared here today.
Absolutely. So, before we go, let me have you shout out your links one more time.
Okay.
And then we'll be sure and put it on the broadcast as well.
Okay. Awesome. So I am LT Dixon. I am the Master Spiritual Resetologist. And so you actually can, on Facebook, I have a page there that's LT Dixon. And Dixon is spelled Dixon, not Dick. That is it. Nope, I'm not a Dixon. I'm a Dixon. On Instagram, it's the same, L.T.Dixon. Let me see. Yeah, find me on those two things, and it will link you with everything else.
All right.
And my website is ltdixon.com.
Yes.
And so be a part of the Reset experiences. We don't do challenges, we do experiences because it's all about the embodiment of all that you will grow through. So, yep, that's me.
Beautiful, LT. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for letting me be in my crazy today. But this is how I felt. I said, you know what? Let me just blow it out for starting. Let me be true to my, my girl rock. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate you, and I love you. Love you. And I'm looking forward to you being a part of one of my sessions also.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God. Did you just love that interview with LT? It was wonderful. Hey, if you loved this, be sure and like and share and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel for more great interviews. Look for me on Facebook at facebook.yonderstar.com, and you can always book a reading or sign up for coaching or join a class at www.yonderstar.com. Have a great one.